This is day 2 of Monster Maze, and so we're going to do some more things with the game. I always like to run the game at the beginning just to see what we have working. So far, not very much, other than the player can move around, moves kind of fast. And the idea is you have to pick up all the diamonds before you can leave the room. So watch the door as I pick up this last diamond. It disappears, and then I can get out. But the problem is we can't get out. Now, you really don't want to put a breach in the wall here. You really don't want that. But we're going to put a little exit sign there. So you hit the exit sign, and that'll take you to the next level. Well, we have a couple issues there, but we'll fix those once we get there. I always say we'll burn that bridge when we get there. It's called a mixed metaphor. Okay, so we need a way to get to the next level. So how do we do that? Well, first we need a sign that says exit. We don't have that sprite yet, so we need to add that sprite here. So I'm going to right click here and say create sprite. Yay. Fortunately, all our sprites are in a shared folder, so we're going to go out there. And we're looking for an exit sign. There's lots of cool sprites in here. Exit. There it is, exit sign. So if we touch the sign, we're magically teleported to the next level. So we'll choose that one. Shut that off. It's not an animated sprite. It just sits there, exists. It is already transparent, so we're good there. That's all we need. Now that we have the sprite, we can make an object that uses that sprite. Okay. So I'm going to right click here and say create object. Yeah, so we're creating our object. So once you have the sprite, go over here to objects, create that object. And then we're going to call this one exit. Oh, I think I forgot to I forgot to rename the sprite too. We do want to rename things because it makes the code a lot more meaningful and easier to debug. In fact, if you ask for help later and you didn't name things this way, I will not help you. Okay, you have to use these names. That means this O has to be lowercase, not uppercase. That means there has to be an underscore. Because if we don't do the names right, then you have tons of problems later. These names have to match. Okay? Sometimes we type in the names. And if you have a different way of typing in that name, or you just left it as object 1, I can't help you because I don't know what object that is because you didn't name it. So you got to put a name on it. Same thing with the sprite here. I forgot to name the sprite to sprite exit or SPR underscore exit. That needs to be renamed as well. So make sure to go over here if you haven't already done so. And click on it once, wait a little bit, and then click on it again. And call it SPR underscore exit. Notice the S is lowercase, not uppercase. I like to reserve uppercase letters for actual class names in most languages, so I don't use that here. And then just click anywhere else and it will have renamed it. Even in here it's renamed. So now we have an exit object. Okay, so this is going to be like Harry Potter. When you touch something, it takes you to another place, a portmanteau or something. It's French. But we need to put one in the room. So let's go to our room. Okay, so we're looking of putting this in the room. So let's do that. Where will we put it? Well, we want to put it behind the door. Okay, so I'm putting it here. Okay. All right, so that's where we're putting it. Let's just make sure this is working. Let's see. Yeah. All right, so now we open the door. We should be able to get out. But when you add a new object to the game, you want to make sure that you think about how this object is going to interact with everything else. Well, this one doesn't move around, so it's not going to interact with much. But it's going to interact with the player object or the explorer object. So let's go there and define what happens when the explorer collides with the sign. What happens? Well, up to this point, when we collide with things, we either stop or we make the other thing disappear. This is going to be a little bit different. We're going to add a collision event with the exit. So here's collision. We have our exit object. So what happens when the explorer collides with the exit? That's what we're trying to define here. So it adds that event here. In the event that the explorer collides with the exit, what does it do? It does this stuff. Okay? We haven't defined what this stuff is. We want to go to the next room, right? So we say next. Okay, so there's next room. Yeah, just go to the next room. Yay. See, it's not that hard. Problem is, though, a lot of people do this, and then the program breaks. Okay? Why doesn't this work? Let's find out. Okay, so here I am. I'm playing the game. I'm happy playing the game. I grab that. I've got the door open. I can go and touch the sign, and boom. Okay? Big problem. We have a coding error. This is called like in a lot of languages, this is called an exception. It basically stops running the program, and then you're done. You can't play the program anymore. You've seen that sometimes in a game you're playing, it crashes like this. So the game should never crash. You should write it in such a way so that the user is never going to see one of these error screens. Okay, so the problem is here is we're moving to the next room, but the problem is there is no next room. So there's nowhere to move to, right? And so it crashes. Well, it kind of makes sense, right? If you try to go to the next room and there isn't one, it's like a null reference exception and you crash. So before we try to go to the next room, we have to check to see if there is a next room. Or another question we could ask is, are we on the last room? And since this room is the only room in our game, this is the last room. So if we say last, well, that didn't work. Yeah, here it is. Last. If the room is last. Okay. So we drag that first on here. And we're saying, well, if the room is the last room, then what do we want to do? Well, wait a second. We want to go to the next room if it's not the last room, right? Because if it's not the last room, that means there's more than one room, which means then I want to go to the next room. So you want to actually click this not thing. Okay? We want to check first if it's not the last room. But if it's the last room, we don't want to do anything. But if it's not the last room, then drag this over to the right. If this is true, if it's not the last room, that means we can go to the next room because there is a next room. Okay. Now, if we were on the last room, this will fail and it won't do this next thing. So it just won't move. It'll just stay there. Okay. You might at this point tell the user they won, but we'll worry about the winning status later. Okay. So now when I play the game, even though I only have one room, it's not going to crash on me when I hit the exit sign. It'll just not do anything. But it won't crash, which is much better than crashing. See, I touch the sign, doesn't matter. Ooh, that's a problem, see? Well, that should never happen. If you touch the sign, you'll go to the next level. But, if there was a possibility that these should overlap, most people would expect the player to be in front, okay, and the sign to be in back. If that really bothers you, at least right now, what you can do is you can look at the order things were made here. See how the exit sign was made before the Explorer? So if you click on this and drag it up before the Explorer, like keeps moving on me. Yeah, it's impossible. There, let's say. Not exactly what I want. But you want the exit to be put on the screen before the Explorer. Then when you play the game here, you'll see, say this is the last room. And you really want the Explorer to go in front of the sign. You want to make sure that gets put in the room last. See, now I'm in front of the sign. Okay. So you can use that list over the left on the order of how objects are created. And you can make it so that the thing you want to be in front is created last. Another way to control this is layers, but layers seem like overkill. Having a separate layer just for the exit sign. So this might be a better solution. Okay. Well, one thing we haven't tested is to see if we actually go to the next room. So let's go to the next room. Yeah, question. How to open the door? Oh, the run button? Yeah. So what you do is this button up here, top left, that's the run button right there. Oh, the sign, yeah. So you go over here. See this list over here? So it's the room. So you go to the room. And this is the instances layer properties. And you can just drag this. The last thing that's going to be drawn is this diamond, right? Oh, still not doing it? Okay. So you want your Explorer to be below the exit. Yeah. Because it does this in this order. It draws the top of the list first, and then it just draws things in this order all the time. So you just want to make sure that the Explorer comes after the exit. Yeah. Does that make sense? Let's see if that works. Curious. Isn't that frustrating? There you go. Is it? No, it's not working. Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell. I'm kind of a ways away. Okay, so, but now let's say there is a next room. We need to test that. How do we do that? Well, a quick way, I really don't want to have to draw another room, you know. I'd really like at least the outside ones to be drawn already. So maybe I go down here in rooms and I should just right click and say duplicate. Now it's going to give it kind of a lame name, room 01, but you know, I suppose that's okay. It's different than room 0. And now we can change this room, right? So if I hold down the shift key and select some things, I can delete stuff. Yeah, question. Okay, so now we have a second room. It looks a little different. It doesn't have that thing there. Let's see if it actually works. So we say go. And this time we want to see if we actually advance to the next room when we hit the sign. So here we are. The door's gone. Hit the sign, next room, okay? So we got it working. Yay. Oh, but this room is boring, right? We got to do something with these rooms. Let's go back to our first room and make it a little bit more interesting. Okay. So how do you make a room more interesting? We'll go to our first room. That can be our exit, that's fine. But we need monsters, right? It's called Monster Maze. How can you have Monster Maze without monsters? So we're going to have 3 types of monsters. One is monster just goes back and forth, right and left, I guess. And another monster goes up and down. And then there's another monster that kind of goes in all directions. Yeah. That's fine. So how do we go? Let's do the easy ones first. And these are the ones that go left and right and up and down. Those are pretty straightforward. For the left and right monster, I kind of like using this kind of like ghosty-like character. So let's try that one. So we're adding a new object to the game, but we can't add it until we have a sprite, I suppose, because we want to be able to see it. So we create a sprite. This is an animated sprite, so we have to be a little bit more careful. Yeah. The room, I just duplicate the room you have. So right-click here and say duplicate. Okay. Should make a second room, but let me come check. Okay, so let's find that sprite. I mean, you can use whatever sprite you have, but I like, this is one that's a ghost. Yeah, this one, ghost, but not that one. This one, it's a floating ghost. It kind of bobs up and down, kind of like a ghost would do. So choose that one, Ghost Floating Strip 8. Say open. There's our ghost. See how the ghost is a little bit opaque, but a little bit transparent as well? Okay. So the opacity here is set just right. I clicked down here by accident. Make sure you keep it at top left. Okay. That's a common error. We also need to make sure that the animation speed is set. Because if you don't set the speed, it won't animate. What does the animation do? Let's try it. It floats up and down. Okay. Like a ghost would do. Okay. So we've got our sprite. Let's make our object now. So we go down here to objects, right click, create an object. We're creating an object here. Make sure I'm recording. Once again, I forgot to name the sprite, but we have to name this obj, lowercase obj underscore, let's just say ghost. And we'll use our ghost sprite. I forgot to rename it though. So I have to go back, just like last time, I have to go and rename it. So I'm renaming it SPR underscore ghost. Don't just call it ghost, because if you do that, a lot of people call the object ghost, and then the computer gets really confused because both the object and the sprite have the same name. And then GameMaker does not work. It will not work. Okay, so I've changed that name. As soon as I change it, it updates the one over here. Okay, so we have our ghost. What do we want it to do? Well, we want to get it moving, right? So how do we get it moving? Well, we need to add a create event. So a good time to get something moving is right when it starts, or right when it gets created in the room by the game engine. So in its create event, in the ghost create event, what do we want it to do? We want it to move. So we would say, I guess, move. Yeah. And it's okay to use this one. Well, actually, no, not that one. We want it to kind of alternate, either left or right, but we want it to choose one or the other. So we want to set a random direction here. And we're going to say either choose left or right. It's going to flip a coin, and it'll either go left or right. We talked about randomization a little bit in the last game. The problem is this one will always go in the same direction, even though you told it to go in one of these two directions, because we forgot to randomize it. Where's the best place to randomize something? Probably at game start. What object would you choose? Well, maybe the Explorer at game start we randomize. But let's finish this first. We say set direction random. We set the direction, but we haven't set a speed yet, so it's still not going to move. What's going to be our ghost speed? Well, let's use the same speed as the player. We'll keep the speeds all the same. Now, if you're evil, make the speed a little bit faster than the player. But remember, we have to set things up so that it divides evenly into the grid size. Our grid size is 32. So our next available speed is what? 8, 16, 16. 16 is really fast. So maybe just leave it at 8. There is a way around that. I just don't want to get super complicated. But okay, so we've got our speed set. We do need to randomize though. So let's do that in the, I don't know, the Explorer. We don't have a create event yet for the Explorer, so let's add a create event there. So go to your Explorer, add a create event, and this is where we'll randomize. So just type the word random, and we want to reseed the random number generator. That'll allow to get a different series of random numbers every time we play the game. Otherwise, we'll get the same set of random numbers, and the game will always play exactly the same every time. So make sure that's in the create event of the Explorer. All right, so we have our monster. Let's put the monster in our room and give it a try. We'll do the first room. And this will be our left-right monster, so we'll put it someplace annoying. So there. Okay. If you really want to be annoying, you could put it on the row where the diamonds are, so make it a little bit of a challenge. You got to watch out for the ghost, because the ghost might get you while you're trying to get the diamond. Okay. So we'll do that. If I play the game, though, you'll note that the ghost chooses a direction, but then doesn't respond to the wall. Hits. Oh, boy, that's fast. Yeah. So that ghost is moving pretty quick. We might want to rethink the speed there. But we also have this problem when we hit the wall. Now, this new version of GameMaker, or, we found out there's some things that have changed. What you normally do we'll see if this works. I don't think this is going to work. We can try it. If we go back to our ghost, and now we do a collision event with the wall. We say collision with the wall. What do we want it to do? Well, we want it to change vertical or horizontal direction. We just want it to turn around. So if you say move here, there's one here that says reverse. See that one? Reverse. And we're going to say reverse horizontal direction. We're moving horizontally, right? So if it hits the wall, we just want to go the other way, whatever the other way is. Okay? If I say go, my expectation is it's not going to work, but it might. Let's see. Boing. Oh, it worked. Okay. So what happened last time I did this game, it gets stuck in the walls, and it's probably because it's due to the speed. Okay. I probably said, oh, this is too fast, we can make it slower. So maybe somebody goes in and changes this to, I'm not suggesting you do this, but in that starting event for the, or the create event for the ghost, let's say I use a speed that won't divide evenly into 32, like 6, a little bit slower. I try that out, and then what we find out is maybe it gets stuck. Let's see. Well, no, it still works. Okay, so it might be the newer version of GameMaker. I don't know. Not sure. But anyway, 8 is pretty aggressive, but we'll leave it at 8 for now. If we run it this time, you see that it goes, we have a 50-50 chance. It goes to the right, okay, to start with. And if we run it again, let's see if we get lucky. Will it go left? No, to the right again. Okay, one more time. We're trying to make sure that it's random, okay? So we just flipped heads twice, I guess. Did we flip? No, still no. It's not randomizing. We've got 3 tails in a row. I want a heads. Yeah, it should. There it goes. Okay, so I was just bad luck. But it did go the other direction. So you, with a little bit of variation, you get a different type of game each time. Now I can go here. I have to worry about this ghost, and then, oh, I survived. See, that's a problem. This ghost is not interacting with the player. Okay, why doesn't it do that? Ghosts are supposed to kill players, and the answer is, well, we haven't coded that yet. Remember, you have to write the game. You got to make all these things work. Okay, so we'll fix that later, though. At least we have the ghost moving. That's good. Okay. We can get out now because we've got all the diamonds and go to the next room. Yay. Okay, so that's pretty much it on the ghost. We're going to have to define what happens when the ghost collides with the player, but right now, at least it's moving. Now, what I would do, this next thing, you remember how we duplicated the room? Let's also duplicate our object. But before we do that, we're going to create the sprite first. So our next monster is the up-down monster, the one that goes up and down. So we're going to create a new sprite. I kind of like this skeleton monster. You're welcome to change the monster types, but the skeleton's kind of funny. It looks kind of cool because it looks like it's walking kind of goofily. So let's import that. So I'm looking for a happy walking skeleton thing. Yeah, this guy, but not that one. We want to do, yeah, this one here. Skeleton walking, strip 10. It's got 10 frames in it. Choose that one. And it's kind of funny looking. See, he's walking there. Yeah, it's kind of a funny walking skeleton. It looks kind of neat. Okay. Okay, so that's our skeleton. Again, don't forget to name the sprite. I keep forgetting to do that. We'll call this one Sprite Skeleton, maybe. Okay, see this error here? What just happened? Anybody know? Looks like my whole game blew up. What happened? Remember we talked about this, or maybe we didn't talk about this. What's happening here is I have my game out in OneDrive because I want to be able to work at this at home. So I put it out on OneDrive. Problem is, OneDrive just went out and made sure everything was in sync. And what it does is it timestamps each of these files to let you know that they've been synced. But in the process of timestamping it, it changes the file. And then GameMaker says, oh my gosh, somebody changes the file while you were working on it. This is bad. Is this okay? And what you want to say here is say save. Don't say reload. Say save. So if you're using OneDrive and you get this error, just say save, and you'll be safe. But that error will come up multiple times now because we know that OneDrive is in the background trying to sync our files while we're working on them. And we don't want that. We only want to sync the files when we save them. But OneDrive doesn't know that. So if you're using OneDrive, there's a problem there. So always say save. Yeah? All right, so we have our cute little sprite. Let's use it in our object now. But again, we want to save ourselves some time here. So we're going to duplicate our ghost. Say duplicate, because it's going to have to respond to the same kind of things with a few tweaks. So we say duplicate. We're duplicating the ghost object, right? And instead, we're going to switch it around to the skeleton object. So we're going to say skeleton, which means we have to use the skeleton sprite we just created. So there's our spooky skeleton. There's that error again. Okay, so OneDrive is doing its job, but it's frustrating. Okay, so we have our skeleton. And look, we already have a create event and an object wall collision event. We got that because we duplicated it, right? Create event, we have to change a couple things though. Instead of going up and down or left and right, we want to go up and down. So change those directions to up and down. We'll leave the speed the same. That seems fine. And then what should happen when the skeleton hits the top or the bottom wall? We don't want to reverse horizontal direction. We want to reverse vertical direction. Okay? So we're just, if we were going up, now we're going down. If we're going down, now we're going up. Those are our two choices. Yeah, question? Question? All right, so we just changed it to vertical, and now it should behave similarly, but now it's going to go up and down instead of left and right. To test it, we have to put it in the room, of course, so let's do that. So we have our left-right monster. Here's our up-down monster, our skeleton. We'll have him patrol the doorway, okay? And this speed is super fast, so this game is really hard to start with. But we're just writing it. We can change the speed later. So here, now I have this skeleton. It's kind of hard to see though. I can't really see the arms of the skeleton. It's moving so fast. So I think we're going to have to slow some things down. That's just too fast. Okay, so one thing we could do is we could go find where we set the speed of everything and go and slow everything down, right? But a better way to do this would be to create some macros. So let's create some macros. So what I'm looking for is a way to create them in the drag and drop thing. I'm trying to stay away from the text-based editor. Oh, here's macros. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to make some macros. What's a macro? And what a macro is it's like a constant. It's something that doesn't change in the game. It's not like a variable, like an x coordinate, which changes as the object moves. We want these to stay constant. So we're going to create some macros here. Our first one, let's just put our we'll just say, hit your caps lock key and then say monster speed. Okay. Yeah, same create event as this is for the Explorer object. And we want to slow this down. Now remember, we have to divide evenly into 32, so we're going to say 4. 6 doesn't do the trick. But that's our monster speed. Okay. Now instead of setting the speed here, like say if we go to the ghost, say I'm here at the ghost, I'm in the create event of the ghost. Instead of setting the speed to 8, what I say here instead is we use our macro name. You say monster speed. Monster. See, it sees it there, and you can choose it from the list. So there's monster speed. Notice I use all capitals. Why do I use all capitals? Because in most programming languages, constants are always capitalized, all the letters. And if you have multiple words in the name of the constant, then you separate it with underscores. So it's monster speed. And then the skeleton 2, instead of in its create event setting it to 8 or hard coding it to 8, you also want to do that one monster speed. Oops, I didn't do it right. That's the one I want. Monster speed. Okay, so now I go here and I say, well, see, that's a little bit better. You can kind of see the skeleton a little bit better. It's kind of walking better. You see the ghost is kind of bobbing up and down. So this seems like a pretty good speed. But again, our player is super fast still. Maybe you like it that way. I think that's too much of an advantage for the player. So what I'm thinking is the player needs to be the same speed. We called it monster speed, but I want to be able to change the player speed independently. Okay? So I would go back to the Explorer, and we're going to add one more macro. So see here this macro thing? Click on this little plus sign to the left. It will add another one here. And we'll call this one Explorer speed. Explorer speed. And even though it's the same, we're going to set it to equal to 4. Okay, so let's try that and see how the gameplay goes. So we're trying to dial in, how fast we should let things move. Okay, so here's, oh wow, I'm still going fast though. Oh wait, what didn't work? Oh, I forgot to change it on the Explorer. When we, oh boy, that's going to be a problem. Anytime we move, then we have to use that constant. So left, up, right, and down all need to change. Okay, because we hard coded that speed in. See down here, we set the speed to 8, and we want to use our macros. So here we say Explorer speed instead. Okay. And we only have to do this once. When we do it next time, say we change the speed, and we're going to. Okay. But you have to do that for every one of the movement keys, because we hard coded it to 8. Now it's always a bad idea to hard code a number in, because you have to do this kind of stuff when you change your mind. So it's better to put these macros in, or these constants in, instead of using a magic number like 8. I call those magic numbers because they magically have a meaning, but you don't know what it is. Now if you write Explorer speed, then you can see what the number actually means, because you gave it a meaningful name. So here's Explorer speed. Oh, that's the Explorer speed. Instead of just the number 8. What does 8 mean? Here's my last one. I'm doing the down key. And again, I'm setting my speed to Explorer speed. And I go, well, what good is that? That doesn't change anything. Well, it does here, because we had it hard-coded to 8. And if I say go, when I start moving, it's going to move the same speed as the characters. Now, it seems like a good speed for getting out of the way, and then the monsters can chase you, but they're not faster than you. If you want to move a little bit faster than the monsters, say you really, really, really want to move faster, but 8 is too fast, You need something between 4 and 8, but the problem is there's no number between 4 and 8 that divides evenly into 32. That's a problem. So how can you do 6? So let's go back to our macros then. And what we want to do is we want to come up with a number. Well, what do we do? We can kind of simulate the explore speed. So let's go to our create event. And we want a number somewhere near 6 that divides evenly into 32. So you would say, what would you say? Well, what you could do is you could use a calculator. Let's use a calculator. I always find it funny when I say, hey, grab your calculator. Everybody goes to their bag and gets their calculator. There's a calculator right here. It's called a computer. Okay? So here we have the 32. We want to get a number 6, right, out of it. So if we divide it by 6, what do we get? We get 5.3, 5 1/3. Okay? So if we really want to get the number 6, what we can do is we could say 32 divided by 5.33. Okay? And then we get the number 6. Yay! Okay. And it divides evenly into 32 because we're dividing into 32. Okay. Is that the way we have to do it? This might be wrong, but we'll try it. What we want to see is we want to make sure that the Explorer doesn't get stuck in the walls. I might have this equation backwards. Oh, I'm stuck. I'm out of alignment, see? So that doesn't work. What should I divide by? Well, we have to use a whole number, I guess. So let's try 6. What will that give us? So it won't be 6. It'll be 5.3. That'll be our speed. Yeah, so let's try that. And what we're trying to see is if we can stay in alignment. I don't know if we can. This probably isn't going to work. Yeah, I'm still stuck. Yeah, so we don't have a lot of choices here. Okay, we're going to have to, at least for the Explorer, we're going to have to set it equal to 4, just like the monsters. Okay. But see, we were able to try different speeds, and we only had to change it in one place. We only had to change it here. If we left it the way it was before, then we'd have to go and edit every single one of them every time we want to try a new speed. Okay. So I'll work on this one to see if I can come up with the speed between 4 and 6 that doesn't cause us to get out of alignment. But I think that's going to be kind of a heavy lift. I don't know. All right. Okay, so we have our monsters. Now we have one last monster to do. But I want to demonstrate this a little bit, so let me get in front of the clock. Okay, we're going to leave the monster speed at 4. And the Explorer speed at 4. But now we're going to do the last monster. Our last monster is the all-direction monster. And this one follows an algorithm or a behavior pattern, kind of like an AI. That's what we're trying to make. So let's make our sprite for it. Now, the worst monster in the world is what? Anybody know? Spiders. Spiders are horrible. Okay, so we're going to do spiders. Okay. Spiders are evil. Just like Ron and Harry Potter. Spiders are bad. So we have a creepy spider sprite. In fact, we have a whole bunch of them. Okay. So here's our spider. Which one do we want? Because if we go look at spiders, I think. Where's spider? They're really tiny, so they're hard to pick out. Here they are. Skeleton spider, yeah. So we got spider down, spider left, spider right, spider up, right. So we got all the 4 directions. Okay, so this is where I lost my audio. So I'm recording another track here. And so what we're doing here is creating our sprites we need for our 4 directions. Let's see if I can find them further on down. So I'm looking for spiders. I still haven't found them yet. I guess I can't spell. Oh, there they are. Okay, so I think we're going to start. Let's see, which one do we click on here? Spider right. Okay. Or that looks like spider up. Okay. So we're going to make a sprite for each one of these. You know, originally in class we were trying to figure out, could we get away with just one spider sprite? And it turns out we couldn't really do it in a nice way. So we decided we're going to use 4 different sprites for the 4 directions of the spider. Now, every once in a while you get this screen that pops up. If you're using OneDrive, you'll see that. So just hit save every time you see that screen. All right, so we have a right spider. Just make sure that the frame speed is set. Now we're going to create some of the other sprites. So I think the next 2 we're going to have to create are up and left and then down. Next 3. Let's see what happens next. Yeah, so create sprite. Give it a meaningful name. And again, our meaningful name is Sprite Spider Left. So go find the left sprites. There they are. There. So choose left. So now we have up and we have left. We have right. It looks like we have 2. So if you haven't done right yet, you need to do that one as well. Last one is down. And finally, we do sprite spider down. Oh, did we do down already? No, we haven't. So down. So import down. Spider down. Sparkle spider down. There it is. All right. So now we have all our sprites. Okay. So now in the step event for our spider, then. Oh, this gets gnarly too. So we're in the step event. We're not going to use this anymore. We found out that doesn't really work for our sprite. So get rid of that one. And instead, we're going to say, what do we say? We say if. So here, we say if. What's our variable direction? So if direction is equal to 0, that means right? We're going to the right. Then we want to change our sprite. So here we say sprite. And here it says set sprite. Let's see. And we'll say spider right. Yeah, question? Oh, this one again, this is in the step event. We're replacing what we had in the step event for the spider with this thing. Okay, so delete what was there, and then, so check the direction. If it's equal to 0, go to the right, right? And then we just do this over and over again. So we say, recently used. We say if again. Again, this is really ugly coding, but you drag this to the bottom of this if statement. It puts it underneath it, which is what you want. And again, direction. Yeah, direction variable. And now if it's equal to 90, then we know we're going up, so we use the up sprite. So we say set sprite again. What sprite do we want to use? The up sprite, spider up. my fear right now is that we'll lose our animations if we do this, but we'll have to work with that. Again, if you could do this a lot more efficiently another way, but we're out of time, so I'm doing it quickly. So again, it's direction. We're just testing the 4 different directions. And here, this is left, is 180. Okay. So I'll drag that here. Again, which sprite are we using? We're using the left sprite. That's this one. And then finally, the last direction it can go is down. So we say if direction is equal to 270, which is down, then we set the sprite. Oh, this is hard. We use the down one. That's that one. Okay, so my fear, though, here is when we run this, that we lose our animations. And this happens every once in a while. We'll see what happens here. And see how it's not animating. Oh, wow, look at that. What a mess. So I get stuck right here. So what that tells me is one of my sprites might be... What that tells me is one of my sprites is not quite right. Let's just check our origins. Here we have, middle center. It's supposed to be top left. They still all have to be top left, okay? So make sure all your sprites are top left. We'll try this again. But a big problem is we lost our animation. See, our animation is not working. It is turning nice and smooth, but we lost our animation. Okay? So in the old version of GameMaker, in order not to lose your animation, what you'd have to do, which is kind of strange, is when you hit the wall and you change sprites, in this step event, I guess, when you change sprites, make sure to set this frame number to -1. What that tells GameMaker is that, hey, don't mess with the frame number. Don't always set it to 0. Just don't change it. But I don't know. I think this changed in this version of GameMaker. This probably won't work either, but we'll try it. Yeah, 0 relative is what you want. Yeah, it's still not animating. So yeah, so what Trevor's saying is correct. Yeah, say 0 relative. Yeah, that means add 0 to it. If you put a 1 there and say, if you put a 1 there and you say relative, it's always going to start out with 1. But if you say 0 and you add 0 to something, it'll just keep its original value, which is what we want. Okay, so make sure all of those say 0 relative. And then our animation comes back. Then we solved the problem. We've got the spider going all 4 directions, and it's animating, which is good. See, there it goes. And we got that right before the beginning of class. So it works. Yay. Good job.